Okay,
Okay.
so to the world and to LinkedIn and all of you people, we have our friend back again. And it just so you remember, you hadn't seen me in a while, but here I am again. Okay, Eric Delos, your residential book author and stuff, but and songwriter, but book author. But anyway, we have a friend back who came before that is a talented, painter. I mean,
Graphic art painter. Yeah.
classic art painter, and then also is a very good with enjoys and is very good with music, and we hadn't seen him in a long time, so we're so happy to have him back. Let's allow him to introduce himself, and I guess we will talk.
Sure. My name is Giorgio Luvisi. I come from California. I was born in Sierra Madre, California, which is a really nice place, and I wish I could have stayed there, but it seems like we weren't under that lucky star. So we lived most of my younger days in Glendora and in the San Fernando Valley. The San Gabriel Valley is Glendora, the San Fernando Valley, Porter Ranch, and which they're coming to an end in this SoCal gas leak. They're supposed to settle in December and pay everybody around, it's an average around 50 grand or something like that. It'd be nice, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's a $1.5 billion they have to distribute in insurance money for all of us that were exposed to methane, the United States' largest gas leak. So that's kind of interesting. But my dad died in 1977, and I feel maybe that had something to do with it because the leaks in the pipes were occurring all the way back then. But we didn't know it, so we were just, I was playing around with music and just totally focused on that. I'm just finding out now because, time allows things to happen, and
Right.
it caused some changes.
Let's go into the last. We talked about a lot of stuff, but let's go into when you became you worked for a record label. Tell us about that experience.
Yes. I worked, okay, my father passed away in 1977, and a man walked up to me that I kind of knew from my sister babysitting at his house. And he said, George, if you want a job at my record company, if you, go to college, and I thought that meant get a degree, I'll hire you.
Right.
So during college, I thought I'd take him up on it because I was like a junior or a senior. I think I was a junior at Loyola Marymount, and I dropped by on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and I said, I'm interested in that job that you offered. And he says, you ready to start right now? And I said, wow. And I started working for him. And I had no idea until last night when I called Ed DeJoy. This is the guy that my father knew. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that he really admired my father, Wow. And my father had passed away at 47. And he felt really kind of, as a Christian man, he felt kind of, a little bit empathy, So basically, he told me last night that he was actually winding down his career at Janus Records, which was his success there set the tone that they wanted to expand into lots of record deals. And his idea was different than theirs. So he let them know that it was his time to go. And Lawrence Welk's son, who's his father started, I think, Vacation Village out there in Escondido or San Diego area, county. And that's just the most successful retirement center, I think, in United States, maybe the world, Right. But so his son didn't do that bad in the record world, having Ed. He recruited Ed from that record company, and I'm going to Google Herb Albert and see what record company that is.
Tell me, so who were some of the acts that came through the record company you were located?
Oh, okay. Here's one right here. This is Craig Ken. Let's see, Greg Ken. Everybody from San Francisco at my college wanted me to get promotional stuff like this.
Right.
And I told Ed last night, it's a good thing I wasn't famous because I don't think I could handle people
Right.
walking up to me asking for promotional gifts. But that was one artist.
And now
Another one.
Yeah. Now what was the name of the record label again?
This one was under I think Berserkly Records.
Okay.
Let's see.
Records.
Yeah, Berserkly Records right here in the corner. Can you?
Okay.
Let's see. I guess,
And what was his style? What was his style of music?
it was kind of to me like pop romance.
Okay.
Here's some of the songs. Don't Expect Me to Be Right. That sounds like a romance. Any Other Woman. That sounds like a romance. Emily Davison. Try to Fall in Love. Kid from Louisville. Worse or Better. He Will Break Your Heart. What Goes On. Satisfied. Why Don't You Try Me? That sounds like my song. Can you take the time? Try me.
Right. Yeah, that is the big song that we know from LinkedIn that was huge. Yes. Okay, so tell it. Okay, now tell us another act, some more acts and stuff.
I'm looking at the thing I have out here. Maybe you could keep asking questions.
Yeah. Now, well, let me ask you now. What when you were at the record label, what did you do there?
I was supposed to be taught everything about from the bottom up, from the mail room, gopher, everything about the record industry. Right. And so that meant that I had to do inventory at first and visit Tower Records, where were major record stores, and count records and see what they needed and learn how to do invoices or at least wire orders from Sunnyvale, California, which is I think San Francisco area. And basically learn the nuts and bolts of how to run a record company. And so that was really exciting and interesting. But my boss wasn't Ed DeJoy, my friend. I guess that would be bias. So he had me under the vice president, Howard Silvers of Janus Records. And he told me last night that he got a letter from RCA Records while probably shortly after I left, because they, that record company was going out of business at the time. And it was a request that that they wanted him at RCA Records for the pop rock division. So last night I called him because I knew this interview was coming today. I wanted to find out, having it was supposed to be the world's hottest guitar player with Chet Atkins in country music and all that. And I wanted to ask him if he was president, Chet Atkins was president, and Ed DeJoy was vice president, did he get to sit and chat with the world's best guitar player? I mean, there might be some stories, And he said, no, Chet Atkins was in Nashville, Tennessee with Dolly Parton. And they were the hottest, probably the hottest label in our record company, RCA with country with Dolly Parton at the time. And so he said, no, there was other vice presidents, but pretty much I was in charge of the pop division. And so that's where when he signed Jesse's Girl, and the guy that
that song, Jesse's Girl. That was a great song. And
so go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm kind of keep on asking me questions.
Okay.
Questions.
So did you meet any of these artists? Did you have to drive them around or babysit them? Did you have to do anything?
I don't remember back that far the names of the ones. I did at Sunset in Hollywood meet one, and I was surprised to run into him. And it was a black guy, and he was probably a top artist in our catalog. And basically, that was almost 50 years ago. But I asked Ed last night. I said, Ed, I'm looking through the catalog. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now, because you asked, what records are in it and what labels. And I said, Ed, if Duncan Cameron, that I grew up with, who went to Sawyer Brown, a top 100 country band, and he wrote for them and played lead guitar for them, since he was with the amazing Rhythm Aces in our catalog, could it have been possible that I could have reached out to him and said, hey, Duncan, remember me from childhood? and
right.
and maybe made a difference or had some, connection or future possibilities with him, since he just kept rising after that. And he said, yeah, you could have. And I'm like going, God, I could kick myself for all the things that I didn't do. But then I said, don't worry, Deloach, Eric is pretty good. No telling what tomorrow might bring. It could be another Ed Joy experience,
Right.
So I'm just, because some of the people in our family were doing pretty good back in Chicago. This is
okay, who's that? Go ahead. Who's that?
This is album cover. Try to figure out how to show it there. It's going to be momentary. You might be able to see it. The picture is of John LaMontagne, who was hired when America was 200 years old to do the bicentennial music for Disney. My great uncle Bill gave him his first piano as an orphan. He was an orphan that lived across the street in Chicago, and he gave him his first piano. So as like a payback, when he found out I was in Hollywood, or working at a record company or out in that area, I guess, he invited me over to his Hollywood Hills home, and he gave me a bunch of records and said, maybe you can sell these at your college, promote for me my records at the college, and it was like really exciting because he won the Pulitzer Prize for music. Wow. I know. Wow. Yeah, he passed away not too long ago. If you Google it, John LaMontagne, but he actually had the eyes for my dad's cousin up in Chicago. She was a beautiful, like auburn-haired Italian beauty, because auburn hair, I think, is kind of different. It's usually Italians have brown or black hair. It's just beautiful auburn hair. She became a nurse, and I met her in Escondido. Right. And her brother, George Luvisi, same name as me, was a dishwasher while going to school, kind of like me going to school and working for Ed. Right. And they liked him at the chemical company in Chicago. Okay. Which was awarded a contract in Europe to cover all the railroad tracks with chemicals that he had patents and copyrights or patents on. Right. And so they turned around. He turned around and didn't know what to do with so much money. I mean, we went from dishwasher to president. Right. And so, and this huge contract, he was like Dow Chemical. So he bought all the unsigned, as many as he could find, of Leonardo and Michelangelo paintings. Wow. And then he put them in the house with big, gigantic horns on telephone pole-sized poles. Yeah. If anybody tried to break in, these horns would go off, So here I am looking at these gigantic, like 5-foot frame gold masterpieces. Right. And gold frame, like, I don't know, it's 18 karat gold or something, the frames, maybe plated, I don't know, but they were humongous. And it's just boggled my mind that what people do when they fall into money and don't know what to do with it. Like you would have done the same thing, Eric. You would have bought paintings of people.
There's no you don't know if you had all that type of money, what you would do and stuff like that. And tell us about his house.
His house was in Chicago. I never got to see it, but his dad's house, Bill Luvisi, the oldest of the Luvisis, there was like at least 10 kids or more. Right. His house was really cool. It was an old-fashioned, house. I mean, it was culturally or ethnic. You would see it in the Black community or the white community back east. But they had basements and everything. And in the basement, he had a whole workshop for dismantling Steinways and player pianos and rebuilding them from the ground up. So basically George's dad, being a semi-musician piano tuner for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra or wherever out there, it stimulated his mind, music, to where he did well in chemistry and then worked his way up in that chemical company to where he became, very wealthy. And I think
it's amazing what music can do, huh? It's amazing.
It does stimulate the brain cells quite a bit. But as I'm looking for that sheet, it's around here somewhere. I was thinking of Valerie Bertinelli, I went to high school with. Right. And I'm going to show you a picture in the yearbook because she had got so many television awards, it's pathetic. And her,
Wow.
yeah, her span in the film industry and television was so long. She won so many awards on TV, on one
Wow.
of the big soaps. I think it was called Days of Our Lives.
Wow. That is a big show.
Yeah, Valerie Bertinelli. But let's see if I.
That's a
Yeah,
big show.
so some of the record companies off the top of my head were Berserkly, Janus, Berserkly, Janus. God, I need to see it. It's just back too
Which,
far.
so did you really enjoy your experience working in with the record companies?
Yeah, I enjoy anytime people roll out the red carpet when somebody at the top, like they did at my father's company also when I went there after I graduated. It
Right.
just makes you, it makes you feel better, the self-esteem. I think too, I wasn't expecting, to be like a hero or somebody that was treated that way, because I had a very ethnic background, and I'm not used to people, of the different, ethnic or different racial dynamic of being blonde and blue-eyed, having to look out for me. I was like, gee, I mean, it'd be an interesting interview for Black artists to see how they handle all of a sudden being in the white world of blonde-headed people. I mean, if you're in France, it's no big deal because the blonde-headed people are in slums, just like the wealthy the white people would be. There's no like racial line, but yeah, it felt different. It felt like I was something important, and I'd never been treated that way before.
Well,
so
I think let me I think throw this thought out. I think is that I noticed that in all groups, no matter what race or whatever or ethnic group, as well, I think the cultures may be a little different. This one may be more friendly or that or whatever, but overall, you have a small sliver segment that are people that are extremely, they would basically take a bullet for you, whatever race they are. They're just overly helpful and nice. That's that in all races. Then you would have a group that's kind of fair, like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, but you're a human being, and we can kind of, communicate. And then you may have another one that I guess you would say fair again, and they're just going to play it by the book, and they'll give you a chance. And then you have the rest of the group, of the bad group of people of all races that are just, hey, you're this, you're that, stay over there, stay over there. So in all groups, and then the thing with music, and I think entertainment, it brings out the best in people. The arts brings out the best in people, because then it's, this guy that's Italian, or this guy that's white or whatever, this guy is a great artist, or or either a musician or whatever. So it really wasn't his color. It was, maybe that had a part with it, but this guy is very talented. You can't deny that. You know what I'm saying? If I see your artwork, I can't say this guy just got a break just because he got a break. It's just, no, this guy is very talented. You know what I'm saying? And I think that happens with we'll say white, Italian, whoever looking at a Black artist, they are a book author or whoever, they say, well, we may have a certain feeling about this group, but this guy can sing. God gave him this talent to sing, or God gave this guy a talent to act, or, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of puts you in and then if you're working at a label, you're talking about business and creative people. So they said, they're going to look at you, you're dealing with art, and art is very powerful. As you said, for example, the guy.
Realizing how powerful it is with all the censorship going on. I wrote a comment that when you're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar platform, and you allow somebody to talk on it and stuff like that, you have a tremendous power to shape America, and so like you're saying, art, music, and a few other entertainment venues, whoever's in charge at the top has tremendous power, because those things affect everybody. I mean, everybody, even Einstein wanted to play the violin and listen to good music, recorded music. So when you have that in your, I guess in your resume for your company, it's a tremendous advantage. I mean, everybody has to go back to entertainment if they're going to run a country, and there's so much power right there. I mean, even Clinton invited all those actors and singers to his house, which shows, they were a formidable adversary in the political arena when it came vote time, because he obviously knew what he was doing, being a Rhodes Scholar and everything, Yeah. But I found Valerie Bertinelli in here.
Okay.
And I got her name kind of with a Post-it, but let's see. I don't know if the computer's going to allow it.
Right. So did you go to high school with her, or a school with her or something?
Yeah. She's right here. Let's see.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, I see your point. Okay, so tell me about, did you know her, or you knew of her? Tell us about that experience with her.
Yeah, I think I was working at Shakey's Pizza for a friend of mine whose dad owned it. And he said, George, we were in school with Valerie Bertinelli, and I had no clue, because, I can see why, she was already probably had done at least maybe 50 or 100 shows on Days of Our Life, or maybe it was something before that, I think.
Right.
Another television show. And I could see that, she probably wanted her privacy, and and there were lower level actors that were in Hollywood in some of my classes, and they stood out, but she was big time, and she just kept the quiet, humble, probably because, like you said, Italy's full of musicians, and the attitude behind that is humility and everything, and great opera music and all that. So I'm sure her dad is Italian American, probably, played some role in keeping her, so not too exposed to all the fame and everything, because I guess everybody, if we would have known that, everybody in class in the school would have been, hey, there's Valerie, but it was like very low keyed, so I was surprised that I found out later even, but because
did you ever meet her?
No, I didn't. I wish I would have, because remember I told you about that blonde cheerleader that got me in a lot of trouble. But I would have liked to have taken a chance.
Yeah.
Maybe I could, because she liked. I think the second husband she had, I think, was Italian. It looks like his name, but you never know. That could have been the childhood sweetheart that I never had.
Right.
The high school sweethearts sometimes go into later life. And man, I just, there's so many things that I could kick myself.
Right.
Eric, and wish I had another chance, like I said about Duncan Cameron, I wish I would have done some research and called him and said, hey, because he was playing for Hugh Hefner, and Hugh Hefner had a lot of money back then,
Oh, yeah.
I think, I don't know if he owned Hee-Haw, but he was a big player on Hee-Haw with Barbie Benton's band,
Right.
And Duncan was the guitar player for Barbie Benton.
I think one thing, and let me just say this, and you may not see this because of what's going on. You're in California, and I'm in Georgia. So, and Atlanta is starting to really heat up. But in California, you guys have had, the music scene and the acting world the whole time. So, you probably, the guy was a musician or whatever, you just kind of took it for granted, and that's just another musician. It wasn't a big deal. Like, say in Georgia, oh, that guy's a musician. Oh my God. We would have went crazy. But to you, I mean, there's so much talent coming out of California. I mean, in acting and music, and California still is a big hub of entertainment and celebrities and stuff. So it's, you know what I'm saying? It's to you guys, okay, well, that's another celebrity. I see him, you know what I'm saying? And you didn't kind of like see it like, say somebody from Georgia, like it's, oh my God, that guy, you know what I'm saying? It's a different outlook because it's so much, the industry is so huge and has such a strong history in California to other parts of the country.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Eric, I guess I should have run a test run on but I didn't have the Zoom invitation. But I'm wondering if I take off my background, if I would be able to show, because what I did is I found a bunch of things that I wanted to show, but like this thing.
I can see it a little bit. I can see it a little bit, yeah.
Is it backwards though? I mean, is it?
No, it's right. Go turn it back the other way around. Turn it the other way around. Turn it back the other way. Yeah, that's right. Okay, green light. Yeah, I can see that. I can see
the green hell or something.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Anyway, yeah.
I see that.
This is like a writer that was a professor at Loyola Marymount.
Right.
And the story that I had copyrighted recently, he approved it by saying that it was like in some way a classic.
Right.
And basically, I was at Genesis Records. I was walking the streets on lunchtime, asking any producers in Sunset that I came across if they would consider, doing that film on the story that I just had copyrighted.
So we got 10 minutes, but let me tell you, so we would do it again, but we're going to continue on with this 10 minutes. Okay, so here you are.
Do you want me to make a real quick look, get up and see if I can find the Genesis record or the catalog for GRT that has all the labels?
We're going to have you back on again. Okay. So let's just talk. So again, when you were at the company and stuff, the record label, did you run into any of these acts or anything like that?
Like I said, I do remember one. It was across the street from the record company.
Right.
Our record company looked like a house on the outside, almost like just a giant mansion. And it was on Sunset.
You saw, for example, like if you watch Motown, it's like a house. You see that? Motown USA, it's just a
exactly.
House. Right.
And when they talk about their drum room having like extra compartments in other rooms, for the sound effects and everything like that, it had multiple rooms. It was set up like a house, and like on the top level was this guy named Alan. I'm trying to remember his last name, but Alan was almost like a savant guy that was an attorney.
Right.
But he didn't like, I guess, the legal field, so he worked in a record company, and he had just shelves and shelves and shelves from the floor to the ceiling on all four walls of records.
Okay.
And I thought, my God, has he heard every single one of those records? But he would be in charge mostly of picking the artists, you know? I mean, he would pick guys as bizarre as Jonathan Richman. Right. And Jonathan Richman wrote a funny tune called Ice Cream Man. And it's kind of hilarious, but I guess when he's friends with Ed DeJoy.
Is it good? Is that a good song?
To me, it's funny. It's like if a comedian could be a musician, right? It would be in that category, because you can just picture this ice cream man coming down the street for the kids, and he's turning it into an adult song, and so it's funny, it's hilarious, and so I think on one hand, being in college at the time, I didn't really understand where he was going with that. I thought it was stupid. Right. But who am I to say? I'm not an attorney and a guy that worked. He also, I think, worked with Cat Stevens or some people like that when he was working with Ed DeJoy when they were working for Herb Albert's record company. That's where they hooked up. and were like a package deal when they went to Janus Records. So someday, Eric, when you get picked up by some big record label, I hope you say, I got to bring my friend George with me. He's kind of eccentric, but he knows what he's doing, maybe in some small way. You know?
That's how it works, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I said, Ed, what do you see in me? And he said, and then I remember Alan, and I thought, am I like Alan? You know, am I kind of like eccentric, and you just take me for the ride, and you tell people to lay off me if they pick on me because I'm under you, you know? And it's like, kind of like, you know, but you know, I think
what did he say to that question that you asked him? What did he say?
I don't think I really ever asked him that, but I think it was last night. I was talking about stuff like that, other stuff like that. And, you know, you know, Ed, did you know that I could have quit college and gone your route in the record industry and focused totally on, and I didn't. I finished college. And he said, yep, you were a good kid. You were a good kid. You know, you finished college. And so he's still, you know, because he said sometimes it can be a 7-year burnout, the record industry. You know, you go to the parties and they offer you cocaine and all this stuff. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the Pope and they'll still do it probably. But yeah, but he went after RCA Records. He went with another group. Speaking of parties and hard rock, he was called by I think the agent of a group called The Fix.
Right.
And because he was no longer with RCA with all of their, you know, they even had like Western Union or wire services at their companies where you could wire things back and forth instead of faxing, you know? So Ed didn't have all that. He had a beautiful house where he lives and everything, but it was just to the point where you could actually do everything at home, like you do, Eric, with a computer. So he was like, how do I tell my computer to be a wire service? So he happened to know at the same church that I went to, there was a computer teacher at Cal State Northridge, which is a big one of the state colleges in our town. Right. And so he asked him, would he come over? I think he was working with his wife in the missionaries. You know, they were doing some missionary. Maybe they were doing mission classes, like bring a famous musician songwriter to do missionary work and play a few songs, but talk about what brought him back after maybe getting strung out on drugs and what brought him back to God, you know? Right. And I think that's what he was talking about last night when he said he did missionary work with this woman whose husband was a computer expert and professor at Cal State Northridge. So he set up the wire service so that he could mail the checks and do the bookkeeping for The Fix while he was their agent. Wow. And they were a pretty good group that was touring the world at the time. Oh yeah. They were in Japan and places like that, you know. But maybe off the record we can talk about you know, when you were in, I think, New York, and you were telling me about this group, because I looked them up, you know, and
which group was that we talked about?
It was some group that they were like hard rock and experimental rock. It was
yeah. I forgot the name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was like looking them up and stuff, and I wanted to find out more information about them so we could talk more about it later.
They got signed to Interscope Records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Queens of the Stone Age. And they got fans. I know guys down here, the rock guys, white rock guys that are just, oh my God, I love it. And they go to hard rock concerts. I haven't been, but they told me they love those guys. Yeah. Queens of Stone Age. Yeah. So we almost done with this interview, but you see now you have to come back again probably next month and we'll talk some more. You just tell me, you know, through our communications what you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I can
And Lincoln, guess what? He's back. You can't stop. I'm just telling Lincoln he's back. He's back. Yeah.
You know, this is remember I told you a little bit about my father's business in the aerospace industry.
Oh,
This,
okay.
this is HICON, which
Right.
was an aerospace. And my father, you can see him down here.
Right.
He's working assembling. Let's see if I
Okay.
can get it just right.
Right.
The camera's trying to.
Well, I
He's
see
right
him.
here. He's tall. He's 6'2", but he's
I
right
see him.
there. And it made my whole life take a turn in a different direction,
Right.
because I try to focus on film and not music after
Right.
he tried to start a company that was making cameras that went in the planes of the U-2
Wow.
the U-2 glider, I think, that went over Cuba and took pictures of Fidel Castro making the nuclear warheads pointed to the U.S. So my dad tried to start a company with that, and
we got less than a minute. I'm going to say we're going to stop there and we'll pick it up next time. And I'm going to tell you, I'm so happy to see you again, and we're going to do it again next time. We're going to do it again. We're going to pick back up.
Next time I'll figure out how to line everything up so that we can maybe see.
Where can they reach out to you? Where can they see you? Tell me quickly.
Oh, you said in a couple. You said August something. The end of August.
No. Tell me where can they see you? They can see you on YouTube? Where can they reach you?
Yeah, they can see me on SoundCloud under Giorgio, the Italian for George. Harrison, kind of like a stage kind of internet name. They can see me on YouTube under just George, Love Is I. My last name, if you break it up, it sounds like Love Is I, Luvisi. And they can see all my songs